Welcome back, everybody. Of course, this is Dr. Keith McNally, and this is the Question Guy podcast. I'm here with Victoria or Vicky Bennett, and we're here to talk about education. And she has something special going on because not only is she an educator, but she is a coach of educators. Isn't that right, Vicky?
Of sorts, yes.
So
I
tell me about
definitely,
that.
well, I I'm not qualified as a coach, so I'd always be a little bit hesitant to use that. But I would say like I'm definitely more of like an informal mentor for teachers, especially teachers who are struggling to balance their work commitments in school with their family life, or they just don't have enough free time. And so I do that through the book that I've written, and I do that through my growing YouTube channel, and they're both called Time Smart Teaching. And there's a course coming along in the same theme very shortly that I'm sure we'll get to talk about. But yeah, informal coaching.
So what is time smart teaching?
So, but it's also memories, and they're not taking their work home. So the time smart teacher is the teacher who can get, all or most of their work done within the school hours, and they're not taking all their work home with them. Like that's the goal for teachers everywhere, is to
Okay.
like not take work home.
And so what's the best way to manage their time then? And how do you help facilitate that process?
That's a really good question, and it's a really big question. That's something that I can't just give you like one answer to, and that'll be it, because there's a process behind it. But the most important start of the process is acknowledging that it's not okay for teachers to work so hard to the point where they become burnt out, and being prepared to start putting boundaries in place, and also to start thinking that done is good enough. Let's stop striving for perfection, and let's stop being seen as martyrs. Almost becomes this competition of who can work the longest, who's taking the most work home, who can come into to work and teach the sick the most. It's almost like a badge of honor, and like that whole culture needs to stop in education.
So how does your program kind of I know you don't want to give away the gold, but what are some of the key things that you focus on that helps change the mindset of teachers so that they can appreciate a work-life balance?
So in the course that I'm designing, the very first thing I do is a mindset exercise, which is to get rid of these limiting beliefs that teachers might hold or not even realize that they hold about teaching. So when I look back to when I was a recently qualified teacher, I thought I wasn't a good teacher unless I was working long and hard hours, unless I was designing every single lesson from scratch myself, unless I was doing, all singing, all dancing. And that wasn't serving me. So the first thing we do on the course is we go through like a process, 3-step process, where we get rid of these limiting beliefs, and we replace that with the time smart teaching mindset.
Okay.
The other big thing that I think people will get out of the course is how to find more time in your timetable, how you can find time in classroom time, or within the school day, to find pockets of like 10, 15, 20 minutes, half an hour here or there, when your classes are working independently, when you can actually get work done yourself. And that for me was the biggest game changer.
I know you're in the UK, right?
Yes.
I know in America, at least there was a time when there was a planning period for teachers in the K-12 school system. Is there something similar to that in the UK school system?
Yeah, there is. So when you first start teaching, you get 20% what we call non-contact time. So 20% of your time in school, or your timetable time, is for you, and we call it PPA time, planning for marking, planning lessons.
Right.
But the problem with this is it gets drastically cut down after your qualified teacher year, and it only amounts to 5 hours in a week. And sometimes, depending on if you're teaching like a 2-week timetable, you can have as little as 2 hours in a whole week to do all your prep for your classes, all your marking, or mark all your assessments, set and mark all your homework. And it does not even stretch like a quarter of the way that you need it to. The whole culture and expectation of teachers is that this work just gets done in your own time, in your evenings, in your weekends, and schools do not give you enough time to do what they're constantly asking of you. And that's the problem.
So just out of curiosity, do you see, I know you see this as a mindset change, but and a cultural change, or hopefully a cultural change. But my question is, would this also help, or would it also help if there were technology tools that helped with time management to make teachers more productive?
Yeah. Yes. Software can help. So teachers do have access to software, where you can set a quiz now, or you can speed up making an assessment. You click a few buttons and the examination software creates it for you. The problem with this is such software is not free, and it very much depends on the budget of the schools and whether the school or the department will pay for that. So, and in here in the UK, we have massive underfunding of schools. Schools cannot afford this software, a lot of them, unfortunately. So it's a lottery about whether you can use that or not. But there are so many things that a teacher has to do that you can't always get around with software. So I teach in the book some techniques on how you can design assessments so they're quick to mark using multiple choice question frameworks, for example, how you can use peer and self-assessment where you're getting, your older classes to revise content by marking the assessments and the tests of the lower years because it's content they need to revisit. So there's lots of hacks, if you like, that I've discovered along the way. Software is part of that, but funding is the barrier for that to be used more effectively.
So I, I'm a college professor, and so I don't do a whole lot of K-12 stuff, but I do know K-12 teachers. And sometimes I just, want to see what they're doing. So I go to YouTube, and there's a lot of people out there in the K-12 system here in America that,
Is 12 like your high school equivalent, like your years
yeah, yeah.
12
So kindergarten to 12th grade, right.
okay.
And so I hear teachers on YouTube talking about, setting up their work week on the Sunday before the work week, right? They're actually doing their planning, I guess, on a Sunday. And it's so you kind of want to take that away.
Yeah.
So
For me, it's a day of rest. Even if you're not Christian, this every Sunday, it's a Sunday night anxiety because they
okay,
are doing work that they're
Vicky,
taking
hold that thought because I want to get the bandwidth up.
Let me know.
Okay, talk to me.
Okay, so
Okay, wait.
teachers.
Let me ask the question again so we get it. Are you ready?
Okay.
A lot of teachers here in
Yeah.
America plan on Sundays for the following week. And that kind of goes against your mindset training. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on with that. Is the reality for so many teachers is they're giving up their Sunday afternoons and their evenings when they should be relaxing or seeing family or friends, and instead they are working, and that is not right 100% in my book. I suggest in the course, what I do is I teach timetable management. And if you're a high school teacher like me, and I know this might be more difficult if you're teaching kindergarten or lower years, you can't really get much new teaching done to your classes on a Friday afternoon. So we have like periods 4 and 5. So the lessons after lunch. And so what I'm teaching is using that time to set easy lessons, a documentary lesson, with videos with questions, poster or easy revision task, and using like this Friday fun time or downtime in your lessons to do that planning. You coming back to set up your Monday for the next week, or your Monday and Tuesday, getting your lessons planned, so you don't have to spend that time at home on a Sunday doing it, because it just leads to teachers getting anxiety on a Sunday evening. And there are so many teachers that do not sleep well on a Sunday night. It's this well-known phenomenon in the teaching world, because they're worried about everything they have to do for the
Yeah.
coming week. So I don't think that we have to be doing that. But if you don't show people the way, that they don't know there's an alternative, and that's kind of what I'm here to do, is show them there is a way. But teachers don't get taught ever about workload management. It's not part of teacher training here. It's almost like we're just expected to sink or swim. And so many teachers sink, and they're leaving the profession in droves within the first 2 or 3 years, because they can't figure it out. They become overwhelmed with the workload. And that's where I come in.
Can you talk a little bit about your how you mentor other teachers in terms of emotional support? Because that's a big deal in terms of what you just said and how teachers should approach their work life.
Yeah, so let me make it clear that I don't at this point in time have one-to-one coaching, but what
Well,
I've
I
done
said
is,
mentoring.
yeah. So,
Okay.
but what I've done, because I was a head of department for 5 years, so I was in charge of the whole geography department and staff that would teach that. And very often I would have, trainee teachers that would come in, or the other members of the department that I worked with were newly qualified teachers. And so I was having to do their professional development and teach them how to be a great geography teacher. But I was finding that I was spending almost the same amount of time teaching them how to get their work-life balance in order, teach them, no, this is the way you can do homework, set homework and mark homework so that you're not taking it home. All these little tips I was finding I was teaching them, because I saw that they were working too hard, and I was that person 10 years ago, and I felt exhausted. Like, I nearly quit on several occasions. I remember turning to my husband once about a year and just said, I don't think I can continue to do this. I think I'm going to have to quit. And that's a terrible position for teachers to be in. They love their job, but they're overwhelmed because they don't realize how difficult it is until you're in it. Until you're teaching in school, you do not realize how much work you are obligated to do. That's the reality, and it hits people really hard.
So with your program, how many teachers do you think you could impact in order to change their lives, their worlds around? What's your goal for the next year?
Well, there is no limit on how many potentially could be impacted, because the course that I'm designing is a teacher, teach and learn at your own rate course. So, I'm not going to be there live. They can log on to the mastermind program. So the mastermind course program is set up by Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi, and there's loads of courses on there. And you sign up and you just take each lesson or each module at your own pace. You download the resources, you watch the video. That's it. So I would love to be impacting, maybe hundreds of teachers within the first year, maybe into the thousands by like year 2 or 3, because we need to retain all these amazingly talented young and recently qualified teachers that just don't stay in the profession because it's unsustainable for them on their health, on their mental health, on their family.
Yeah,
As many
agreed.
as I can, as many as I can. And that is the reason why I'm doing the course, because teachers are so snowed under with work, they can't often find the time to read the whole book. Reading the whole book of Tom Smart Teaching is an awful lot to take in there. People need accountability. They need people to break it down step by step. Right, do this first. Here's the framework. Here's the sheet to fill in. Okay, now let's move on to the next thing, and rinse and repeat. And that's how it is. It's helping them do it bit at a time so they can actually put it into practice.
Well, that sounds good. So is the course readily available now, or are you still in the planning?
Yeah, it's in process. So there's 3 modules, and I have done the first module, so I've got 2 more to complete. I'm hoping to have it live and launched by Christmas. So ready for the January term, or we have a new school term here in the UK in January. So yeah, Christmas at the latest, and it will be ready to go. So if anyone wants to keep up to date with developments on the course, then I'd really encourage them to come and follow me on LinkedIn. I can be found under Jane Bell, or Vicky Bennett on LinkedIn. That's where I'm going to be posting my updates, and I'm hoping to have an email list set up really soon as well, so I can keep in touch with people that way and let them know about it.
Is your primary contact on LinkedIn, or do you have a website as well?
I I don't have my own author website as yet, but I'd say like my LinkedIn profile. I do have a Facebook profile. I'm less active on there, so I'd say LinkedIn is the best way.
Okay. And what I want to do is in the description of the video content is have your contact information readily available.
Yeah. So on the mastermind and the LinkedIn platform, they will be able to contact me. I will put my email in there so they can drop me an email at any point, ask me questions, DM me, whatever.
Okay. So do you, this, my last question would be, on your LinkedIn, are you actively engaged? Like, so do you readily like engage with other people and encourage people to kind of think about joining your mastermind program, or how does that work for you?
Yeah, so I'm on there like every day, getting involved in discussions about teaching, education, workloads, occasionally self-publish, I can't even say it, self-publishing, because I'm a self-published author. I've literally just designed a thumbnail for my course. So at the top of my LinkedIn bio, there'll be like a QR code real soon, and to take them to the mastermind page, the overview for the course, so they can, learn a little bit about it in advance. So yeah, that's going to be there.
Well, Vicky, this was a pleasure, and I thank you so much for your time and for being a guest on the Question Guy podcast. Any last words for teachers out there?
Yeah, I just like to say to any teacher that's still teaching after all the problems that we've had with COVID, I'd just like to say a big thank you and well done, because the fact that you are still present and, putting kids' needs, as a priority for you after everything that we've been through, you really all deserve a round of applause. So here's my round of applause for all the teachers. And I really, really do hope that you'll follow me, because I do share some time-saving tips on my LinkedIn. So make sure you find me.
Vicky, thanks so much for your time. Take care.